There were over 16 million casualties in World War I. World War I was a huge tragedy. The war began on June 28, 1914. The war was Britain, France, Italy, Russia, and the United States against Germany, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. Some countries were more involved than others. Nationalism was important at the beginning of the war. The advances in weaponry changed the way the war was fought. The Versailles Treaty officially ended World War I. Nationalism was a huge factor in the beginning of World War I. It was arguably what started the war in the first place. It created rivalries between countries before the war even started. Nationalism is having extreme pride in one's country. Nationalism can push some people to be selfish and put their own country's needs above another country's needs. An example of this happened when Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Serbia was assassinated. Austria-Hungary had excessive confidence in their military and the country's overall strength. Austria-Hungary would not be able to defend themselves effectively in a major world war. Serbia also had some nationalist pride. They believed the Serbs in Austria-Hungary should reunite with Serbia. This caused tension between the two countries. Austria-Hungary believed that their military was stronger than Serbia's, so they declared war on Serbia. Germany had one of the best economies and a strong military around the beginning of World War I. They were not afraid to show their national pride. Germany wanted to influence the world. They wanted to spread their political views. This created conflicts with many European countries. Italy was not a very strong country when World War I was starting. However, they still believed that they should gain more land. Italy believed that some of Austria-Hungary's territories belonged to them due to the large Italian population in these areas. This weakened relations between the two countries. Russia had strong nationalism. They had the largest land area and population of any other country in Europe at the beginning of the war. Russia wanted to expand their borders. They violated the Treaty of Paris by trying to take warm water ports from the Balkans. Other countries were not happy with Russia, and it weakened their relations with other European nations. France was a strong power in Europe for many years. They lost two of their territories, Alsace and Lorraine, to Germany. France believed that they were strong enough to recover these territories and get revenge on Germany. Tensions were very high between these two countries. Britain was the most industrially advanced nation in all of Europe. They had the best navy in the world. Britain had the largest overseas empire as well. Britain had pride in their military because of their strong navy and the fact that they were able to control the most colonies. Other countries were threatened by Britain's large empire. Nationalism created a lot of tension and weakened relations with many European countries.
World War I introduced a new kind of warfare with new inventions of new weaponry. World War I brought new weapons like the tanks, machine guns, and many others. These new weapons made the battlefield even more deadlier than it already was. Soldiers were so scared from the sight or sounds from these new machines. The invention of these new weapons brought panic to everyone who did not have them, and a great advantage for the countries who did have these new weapons. Every country was pushing to manufacture as many new killing machines as they could make. Millions of soldiers and civilians were either killed or injured from these horrific weapons. Airplanes were a great new weapon in the war. Airplanes were not invented during World War I, but they were improved greatly. They were very light and they were made out of wood, canvas, and wire. Airplanes were first used in the first part of the war as a way to scout the enemy's formation. Germany, Great Britain, and Austria-Hungary and France would all do this. Since airplanes did not have any kind of weapons on them and are mostly made of wood, both sides would shoot down the airplanes pretty easily. In 1916, Germany was the first country to put machine guns in between their propellers without breaking the propellers. Great Britain eventually did the same thing too. Germany was also the first country to create bomber airplanes, and they bombed enemy cities. Great Britain and France did the same to Germany and bombed their cities. Tanks were first used in the war by Great Britain. Tanks gave a huge advantage to Great Britain, but tanks broke down pretty easily. When Great Britain first used them against Germany, soldiers who were terrified and did not know what to do to stop the tanks. For tanks to work, the ground had to be dry and hard for the tanks to drive on. Great Britain, Germany, France, and Austria-Hungary, and Russia would use these tanks to break down barbed wire, protect soldiers from enemy fire, and go over bunkers. They were very slow, and they could only go around 2 to 3 miles per hour. Tanks also had one machine gun on them during World War I. Chemical warfare was first used in World War I by Germany in the battle in Flanders, Belgium. Germany at first made the gases into small cylinders and would throw the gas into enemy lines. Finally, France, Germany, Great Britain, and Austria would start putting these gases into a loaded artillery. Germany used gases the most during World War I because soldiers did not fight as well in gas masks. The gas would terrify soldiers on both sides because of the deadly effects gas did on their bodies. Machine guns were improved a lot during World War I by Germany. Machine guns were light and easier for troops to use. They made the machine gun air-cooled for airplanes too. Great Britain, Austria-Hungary, and France made their own versions of the gun soon after. Russia assembled a machine gun a little bit later in the war. Submarines were first created to scout enemy sides, but countries started to put bombs on them. Germany's submarines started to attack ships before they were close to their ports. France and Great Britain did not use submarines as much as Germany. Great Britain created underwater listening devices and underwater bombs to counteract Germany's use of submarines. Warships were also created during this time. They were faster, stronger, and radios made them even more effective to know where to find the opposing sides. Germany had the most warships, but France, Great Britain, Russia, and Austria-Hungary had a lot of warships too. The Versailles Treaty was first created on June 28, 1919. France, Great Britain, and Russia had the most say at the meeting. Germany and Austria-Hungary had little participation at the meeting. The meeting re-signed Germany's borders and reparations. The Allies wrote the treaty. France wanted to dismember Germany, but Great Britain was afraid it would start another war. France also wanted huge reparations from Germany because they were afraid that Germany would recover from the war, even though they knew Germany would not be able to pay off all of its debt. Germany was thought of as the main instigator in the war. Part 1 of the treaty created a League of Nations. Part 2 created Germany's new borders and made Germany a lot smaller than it used to be before the war. Part 3 of the treaty created a demilitarized zone and separated the Saar from Germany for 15 years. Part 4 stripped Germany from all of its colonies. Part 5 shrinks Germany's army size and did not let them have certain classes of weapons when committed. Part 8 made Germany responsible for reparations and admit for the losses and damages to the Allies from Germany and its allies. Part 9 imposed many financial obligations against Germany. German government did not want to sign the treaty, but they felt like they had to. Right-wing parties in Germany thought the government was trying to betray its people for signing the treaty. Terrorists assassinated many politicians who were involved with the signing of the treaty. The Versailles Treaty did not create peace, but made things actually worse for everyone. Germany was in a very low state, and it made it impossible for them to recover from the war for a very long time. The treaty was an unfair punishment against Germany and Austria-Hungary.
Nationalism, the advancements in weaponry, and the Treaty of Versailles were all key parts in World War I. The war was terrible and had many casualties. Nationalism affected the beginning of the war. The middle of the war was affected by the advancements in weaponry, and the war was ended by the Treaty of Versailles. World War I had a very big impact on Europe.